Hey, good evening, everybody. Sammy Thunder here. Thanks. We're gonna try this again. Hopefully, this turn of this live stream goes a little bit better than yesterday's. Um, Unfortunately, just I was using a different browser, and I guess Google Chrome. Oh, sorry, my Firefox is not as friendly as using Chrome for sharing screens and such. But yeah, this time I'm using the Google Chrome platform to do this. Anyway, um, I figured tonight what I would do is I'll show off some cards. If we get a pretty decent audience in here tonight, I'll share the link if y'all want to join in on the live stream as well. And it's exciting. We got through the week, and now we're onto the weekend where card shows are right around the corner. Got the big Garfield, New Jersey show coming up on Sunday. But let me do this. I want to kind of go through how, like, which Willie Mays cards I really want to add to my collection. And I'll kind of give you how, like, give you a kind of like a, not a, I'm not going to call it a tutorial. Hey, Jen, thanks so much for coming. But I want to kind of show how I pick my cards, and I found this to be a great resource. So I'm going to do it right. I'm going to share this. Give me 1 second to see how this looks. All right. So, all right, cool. Y'all can see it, which is great. So, here we are, the Willie Mays. I use trading card database, tcdb.com, if you're unfamiliar with it. And, it's kind of cool because they give you a lot of different links to click on, contributors, favorites. I like to look at the cards. So I'll click on cards, and excuse me, what it does is that it provides you an order, all of the cards that he's ever had. So obviously, the big one that people love are the Bowman 51, the rookie card, and the Burke Ross, which finding a Burke Ross would be amazing. Um, I have this one, the 52 Bowman. Let me see. I decided to bring out the open up the container tonight to see if I could find some cards to share with y'all, because I figured that'd be fun. Just give me a second to kind of clear things out a little bit. But yeah, I got the Bowman 52, and this is the one I really want. This is the one I really want to have in my collection. But I mean, talk about rarity. This one is really tough. There are a couple on eBay right now, but I mean, you look at those prices; they're going for like 60,000, like anywhere between $25,000 to $60,000. It's just insanity. It's goal season. RJ collects sets. Go through how you did with last year's goals and give out next year's goals. Okay. Um, I wasn't prepared for that. That might be like a separate video altogether, in my opinion. But that's a good point, RJ. It's like the thought process there. But going back to this, the this is the 1952 Coke Tips test sets, and the I've mentioned this before in other videos, but this card and just in general, or not really a card, or I don't know how you call it, like piece of memorabilia, is a culture clash with Coca-Cola, baseball, Willie Mays, and there's something really amazing about the look of this. As maybe some of y'all know, I'm very big on vibrant colors in the presentation of a piece of sports memorabilia. And so I love the yellow, I love the white and the red, and I love the profile shot of Willie Mays, and and you see the background of of the ballpark, to kind of just really exemplify baseball for all that it's worth. And then back here, you kind of have a little, obviously, a biography about Willie Mays, and so this is just a really cool. It's a really cool TCDB is really cool about giving you information on it, and then you can click down here to search eBay if you want to find if the card's available. And then there's other searches you can do too. Let me go back for a second. Just saying that's what a lot of people do in the card community. Um, well, all right. Last goal season, go through how you did. Okay, so let me go back to what RJ was talking about. We'll go through how you did with last year's goals and give out next year's goals. Okay. And Jackson's kind of leading me right into it. What will be your next big card pickup in 2024 next year? Um, okay. Goals for this year. Originally, I mean, the thing about my goals from this year is that they've shifted a lot. So, for most of the year, I was really banking on trying to collect rookie cards, and that was really something that I was, really after. And that's pivoted to now wanting to collect really unique looking stuff like the Coke Willie Mays 1952 Coke tips test. And it really, the inspiration was mostly from who was it? I mean, it was mostly from the people at the National, Theo and Mangini and Orlando and and Dom, especially Staven Sports Cards. Dom was probably the biggest inspiration because I spent the day with him walking around and I was seeing what he was picking up. And probably the favorite piece that he picked up that I really, really liked was the why am I forgetting? It was a program. I want to say it was I don't know if it was a St. Louis Cardinals program or a San Francisco Giants program, but it was something along those lines. And it had Juan Marichal's autograph, and I think he wrote in it the Dominican Dandy, which is his nickname. So that was really cool. And RJ's on TCDB as well. Troy, how you doing, man? Thank you so much for coming by. But so to answer your question, or just to talk about the goals that I accomplished, um, I don't have anything in such order right now. But I mean, this is a big piece that I really wanted. Let me close out of the stop sharing for a second. I mean, the Mathewson, I really wanted one of these the 1952, 1951 Connie Mack All Stars, Christy Mathewson, and I wanted to find one that was not cut out, the one that was still intact. I mean, clearly this has condition issues, but it's a beautiful piece. I'm trying to get it in focus for y'all, so I apologize if it's not staying really well focused. But yeah, I mean, this was really cool. Matthews, I think that was a big piece to find. I think my big goal before getting into the rare stuff, which I really liked, was wanting to get a 52 Willie Mays tops because it's my favorite card of his, and I've always wanted one. And let me see if I can find it in here for y'all. Here it is. Take a second. So yeah, let's see this. I mean, I don't know if you want me to show it again, but I'll show it. Yeah, the 52 Willie Mays. And I think, the rounded corners, I don't really care about that. I'm just really pleased that it's so well centered. And this was originally in a PSA holder, and I'm just very much more interested in having it in SGC just for consistency. I want to have my collection be a lot of mostly SGC stuff. So that finding that maze at the National, that was my big goal. And I have videos that I've posted what my 2023 national goals were, as far as which cards I wanted to find, and I really just kind of accomplished a lot of that. So that this, yeah, I again, like this Maze card, I love like that really that purple, I don't know, blue, deep blue, purple background really just makes his profile shot pop even more. So I mean, that's an example of the goals that I was able to accomplish. But going back to what Jackson was saying, if Jackson is still here, what will be your next big card pickup in 2024 next year? It's a great question. And I showed it already, but I'll show it again. What I really would love to have, and this is, if I could find it sooner, that's even better. But let me show it. And some of y'all have already seen this, but it's the Coke tips. I love the way this looks. And I have a feeling it's going to be very challenging to find this in a budget price that I can afford. So I think this is going to be very difficult. If it does fall in the budget that I have in mind, that will probably be my one purchase at the National, and I'm okay with that because I'm really kind of going to revisit a lot of friends. Obviously, a lot of other content creators are going to be there, but God, it would just be phenomenal to find this there, and just kind of take, even if it was on the first day, find it and just kind of share it with everybody. I mean, there's nothing more exciting for content creators than to find the card that they really wanted and really just kind of get a lot of the oohs and ahs from your other content creators. And we all kind of feel that same sort of energy. Like if one of our if somebody else finds something that they really love and they really want to share, like, we're all about it. We always want to see something really cool and unique. So, Jackson, that's what I'm after. That's what I'm hoping to find. Is the Coke Tips 1952. But let's see. RJ is saying that he's working on the 1909 E95 caramel set. Only 25 cards. I'm up to 12. Just added Johnny Evers. Congrats, man. That's a big feat to be able to tackle that big project. So that's very cool. Very, very cool. I hope you were able to accomplish it. Um, I mean, right now it seems like it's the best time, especially to buy up a lot of this stuff. So, what I'll do is I will share the StreamYard link. If anybody wants to join in, you're welcome to. Um, Last time I did this, I had some good people show up, like Jake. We also had Lou Rock. That was a lot of fun. So a lot of good people showing up, which was great. Let's see what else I have in the grab bag here. Y'all have seen a lot of this stuff already, but I don't mind showing it as always. So I have here beautiful looking Hank Aaron, his rookie card. And, again, it's rounded corners, but really nice looking centering on it. And as long as the main frame of the card is really just, as long as it has great detail to it, I'm happy with that. So good looking Hank Aaron. Obviously, let's see, some of the rare stuff that I might have. I don't know if I would call it rare, but I'll show off. I love the 64 top stand-up. It took me a while to find this one, surprisingly. I found this one raw, graded a 2. It doesn't look like a 2, but I'm happy that it's a very strong 2. And I think the only one of the many reasons why is because somebody wrote on the back, and it's such a shame that somebody would deface the back of the card, but it is what it is. This was such a delicate card when I bought it, so I didn't want to do anything additional to it. So I tried to keep it in tip-top shape. But nice looking stand-up Willie Mays. uh, Something I don't do on my channel too often. I've seen Greg from Midlife Sports Cards do it. Is take questions and about anything really, and he's so good at it. And I've always thought, like, maybe I should give it a try. So, pertaining to, I guess, anything in the hobby, at card shows. If anybody has any questions about any of the card shows that I go to, or um, just how I kind of how I navigate those shows, I'm happy to answer them, or talking with dealers, anything along those lines. I'm happy to take any questions pertaining that. So I have the chat open. So if you guys have any questions about that, let me know. Happy to answer them for you. Let's see what else we have in here. I have a lot of the. Oh, here's one. This one was a really great find at the Philly show. Let's see what we got. 1909, the S74 Silks Mathewson. That was a great find. Missing the backing. I knew that going into this. This one I bought from a dealer named Woody. at the Philly show the first time I went back in September. Great. I mean, just a piece of silk in order, just to be able to kind of see that. Very nice. So let's see. RJ has a question. Big boom in the hobby during COVID. Things have slowed down since. How slow will it get? That's a good question. I don't know. I have a thing. I have a. It's not a good theory, but my thought is, the baseball season's ended. Things have slowed down. Um, basketball and football are in season, but I think things will pick back up when baseball season comes back around. Maybe not maybe not to the heights of COVID, but definitely I think things will pick up then. And Jim asks, "Have you sent any cards to SGC?" I have. The Philly show I went to in December, on the 2nd. I bought the 1950, was it 58 Hires Root Beer Test Willie Mays, and I sent that off to SGC because they were at the Philly show. So I submitted that. I submitted a 71 Munson that looked really nice. I submitted a Michael Jordan Fleer 88 basketball card, and then the more recent, and then the Monty Irvin Bowman 51. I submitted that one as well. So they're in the post grading process, and I gotta say it's really difficult not to take a peek to to see what they graded, but I'm gonna discipline myself and not look. Yeah, RJ. I anticipate being there unless something comes up. But yeah, I mean, I spent 7 hours walking around that Philly show, and with my list. Let me show you the list. I don't know if it's give you some idea of what I'm after, and then maybe what I'll do is I'll showcase that on the. I'll showcase each card that I have in mind. So let me bring that up. I figure that might be cool to show that off. It's not coming up. Window. Just okay. There we go. All right. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Desirable cards. The Tom Seaver 1968 Bazooka. That one shouldn't be too much trouble. This one, the Citgo 1969. This one I did find at the Philly show, um, and it was the entire Met set for $100. So it's not. It's this one I might go back for again at the Philly show if it's still available, because it's not too much. This one, I don't know how to pronounce it, Ajman Manama, 1972. This is I want to say it's a Japanese sticker that was, I'm sorry, Japanese stamp, and it's kind of a front and back situation. This one I think is going to be tough to find, just because I mean, you just don't really see them all too often. 1972 Venezuelan stamp, Tom Seaver. And so, like some of the things I checked off, the Prism Jewel, Larry Bird. I don't know if y'all seen that. And then obviously the Willie Mays Hires Root Beer Test. Let me go back to. Hey, Orlando. Thanks so much for coming, man. Just checking in to see. Let me, yeah, I don't know if I've showed off the Larry Bird card, but I will do that right now. I'm not sure if everybody's seen this, but it's a really special, cool little item. So I'll show that off. Working on an all-time Phillies PSA set registry. I need a Pete Rose. Let's see what he said here. Pete Rose to complete that $1,000 minimum. Wow, that's amazing. Let me step out and I'll show you. So, I mean, for those that haven't seen this is a really cool item, in my opinion. It's a Larry Bird. Unfortunately, it's a kind of a not a hologram, but 1985 Prism Jewel Larry Bird sticker decal. Pretty ordinary in the back. Orlando says, "I love your Focus collection. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thanks to you, honestly, for really helping me and guiding me along with that." Uh, what was really cool about that Larry Bird Prism Jewel is that it came with the um, the original cardboard that held it that held it in there. So on the inside, you kind of have some noteworthy other stickers you can get, and then on the back. So the idea is that the sticker would be found inside. You can find it inside, and it would be the little vending machines at grocery stores. You just pop the quarters in, and you would be surprised with a sticker. I don't think it caught on very well. Clearly, it's not something that's very popular in the hobby, but I know a couple of other creators, content creators, like Adam from Splendid Sports Cards, was really into them, and I think he has a Larry Bird decal as well. So that was a really cool pickup recently that I made. And then the other one is this one was kind of a surprise, the 1970 Transogram Willie Mays, and these you would find on the boxes of the figurines, and you would cut out the card on the back. And so this one was pretty decent looking Willie Mays. There's some creases, you just can't really see it, but just from first look appearances, it's very clean, and really it was really cool to find that. Again, those you don't really find too often. They're kind of hit or miss, or not hit or miss, but you don't really see them on the market that often. And looks like you got Drew is here, man. Look who decided to show up. What's up, bud?
Hey, is that all right? I hope it's okay.
Yeah, man, that's the whole purpose. I'm bringing people in. I'm gonna share the link again because maybe Orlando wants to make a second appearance or as well. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you tonight?
Good, good. I don't know if Jake filled you in, but I had to rebook the to a different hotel for the National
Okay.
because the one that I booked originally um, went through some sort of weird name change. And because it went through a name change, reservations might get a little wonky booking through a third party. And so the price is not really that much different. So it's not going to be, it might even be less. But it's the place is right nearby where where the YouTube meetup is going to be anyway. So
Awesome. I appreciate you doing all that. I really do.
yeah, because I saw people posting about it, I'm like, it's probably, I don't want to take the chance and then show up and then not have the hotel.
No, definitely. Yeah, and I don't want to sleep in Jake's truck, so
Mm. So, what sort of stuff have you been picking up lately?
uh well, not much. I don't I'm not really actively buying stuff. Where I am right now in my collecting is sort of enjoying what I have. I've gone through all these different phases of set collecting and player collecting
Yeah.
and more modern stuff and vintage stuff and all whatever. And I've sort of just landed with a sort of just a piece. I'm saying, you know what? I'm happy with what I have. So if I see something I really like,
Hmm.
I might. But right now our budget is not buyer friendly, which is fine. I'm okay with that. Every once in a while I'll find something, but honestly, most everything this year um, has not been cards. Now that I mention it or think about it, I think I've picked up two cards the whole year,
Yeah.
and I don't even think I've shown them on YouTube. I went through a little thing with magazines. That's all these magazines behind me.
Yeah.
I think they're super cool. I did pick up a piece that I haven't um, shown yet, and it's in my sort of mental queue. Probably next week I'll do a video on it.
Nice.
It's a piece of memorabilia. I think it's super cool. I mean, I think most people will think it's super cool, but it's got such a great story to it, and I'm all about stories. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, it doesn't really fit in my collection except it's vintage baseball, and that's all I kind of say at this moment. But yeah, I'm looking forward to showing it off.
And if Dom decides to go to the National this year, Dom being Staven Sports Cards for anyone you met, that's the person. Like, I feel like magazines and what I see, like programs and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah,
He's big into that stuff too. I
oh
was
yeah.
telling, yeah,
Yeah, Dom and I have had a number of conversations about, well, everything, life and collecting and stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't know, there's just so much cool stuff out there, and all of it, whether it's a card, magazine, an object,
Hmm.
anything, it just sort of it brings back a nostalgic feeling of
Yeah.
whatever. And for me, I've always been into the whole. I can't believe I own this card, so I'm not picky. I don't focus on condition. I really don't. Yeah, I don't want something that's been in the washing machine, but I for me, I just man, I can't believe I own a 57 Willie Mays. Like that just blows my mind that I actually have that card. So I don't care about the corners and centering and a little writing on the back or whatever. In fact, the
Right.
video I already shot it and it's going to come out tomorrow. It's sort of a spin on that. It's I did my 25 or I'm sorry, my top 30 cards in my collection, and but it's kind of a different spin. So
Mm.
anybody's watching, check it out because I think it was fun and kind of surprising. It really shows, to me, it shows how much collecting has changed over the last 25 years because the majority of my collection came from way back then. eBay was new, it was like the Wild West, and you could pick up crazy stuff for not much. And I don't know, it was a good time, but it's just evolved, and that's fine too.
Do you often? I mean, I forget what part of the country you're in.
I'm in Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there a lot of shows in Georgia?
Um, I don't know because I don't. Atlanta's about 2 hours for me. I know there's shows down there.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some shows in smaller cities closer to me. I don't look for them. I kind of fell into the go. There's a show circuit in North Carolina, which is actually where I met Jake. Was at the show circuit years ago. I was helping a friend of mine out who was a dealer, and Jake came up to the table, and he and I just started talking, hitting it off, and so I've gone to that show circuit a bunch of times over the years.
Hmm.
So if you hear other guys talking about going to the Hickory show, that's Hickory, North Carolina, we're planning on it. We're making a mini YouTube hangout kind of get together at the Hickory show in May. And so, it's fun, but that's kind of what I do. But again, when I'm going to shows now, it's
Hmm.
more to see people and look at cards as a museum kind of thing to be like, man, that's cool. But I'm not picking up a whole lot. And I'm really okay with that. I'm not bothered by that whatsoever.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's I have to look that up. I've never heard about the Hickory card show, but
Yeah, the show circuit does well. Charlotte's not there anymore, but it's like Hickory, North Carolina. Hickory is
yeah.
where Madison Bumgarner's from.
Oh, okay.
So it's sort of northwest of Charlotte, and it's just got a nice convention center. And the guy who's run this show circuit for decades, he's done a really good job. So it's gotten really big, and he usually does it in conjunction with another type of collectible, so toys, Hot Wheels, and the convention center is split in half. So you'll go to cards on one side and toys on the other. So it's kind of fun because I like going to the other side. I have no interest in buying toys or Hot Wheels, but it's cool to see guys just as passionate as we are about cards
Right.
looking at all this kind of stuff, and it's kind of a fun experiment and watching people. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely been to shows like that before, but yeah, it's kind of cool to see the diversity there.
Hmm.
So I'm in the process of potentially considering moving a lot of the T206 stuff that I have,
Hmm.
with the exception of the Mathewson and maybe some others, because like yourself, you mentioned that you're kind of shows you were set building, player collecting.
Hmm.
So I mean, like everything else, we kind of evolve in different directions. But like, pulling one out right now is the Clark Griffith. You know the story about Clark Griffith?
Uh, Maybe which store, that card or that player?
No,
I
just the player.
I know who he was, but
Yeah. I've shared this last time. I did some digging up on Clark Griffith. Actually, I think I did a video on him about he was I don't know if he's the owner or the president of the Washington Senators.
yeah.
Ball player as well, but known more for being just a pivotal um, management, pivotal in management. And the story goes that Clark Griffith had hired his former teammate as a scout, and his scout. Oh, okay, Jim says he was the owner. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Griffith goes out. Griffith has his buddy go out as a scout to go and check on a bunch of ball players, and I guess this scout was really big on Joe Cronin and really wanted Joe Cronin to be on the Senators, and was so excited by Cronin's potential that he didn't even ask Griffith if he could sign him. He was like, you know what, we're going to sign you. Let's get this contract going. Sign you, and he he brings him. He feels like he did the best job possible on scouting this guy. He goes back to Griffith, and apparently Griffith obviously just didn't feel the same way. I guess he looked at his statistics. Guy was batting. Cronin was batting like 213 or something like that, and Griffith more or less just told him, said, he can get signed, but he's not going to be playing for the Washington Senators. So you can take, he's a bum. You can take him and try to sell him off to some other team now. He's your problem. And fast forward, I don't know how many years later, but Joe Cronin wound up marrying Clark Griffith's niece.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh,
I wonder if he still thought he was a bum when he was related to him. He may have.
well, I mean, this was way off. This is once this is like Clark Griffith clearly was wrong because wound up being the player that we all know him for.
Sure.
But
for that story, so
yeah,
that's great.
Do you have any stuff you want to show?
What do I want to show? I'm trying to see what's in arm's reach here. I don't know, anything you want to see. I don't know how you've got a much bigger fan base, so I don't know how people are familiar with my stuff, but I'm trying to look around to see.
I will say that for those that are watching, is that Drew, my favorite video of yours is the card room tour.
The tour, yeah.
So for those that are watching, for one thing, subscribe to Drew's channel. But
thank you.
Yeah, but the second thing is definitely that video. I think is a great starting point to kind of get an idea of. Orlando says it best. Everyone loves Drew, but that's a great video to kind of give you an idea of what you enjoy collecting,
sure.
And it kind of then you can kind of branch out. I think from there. But yeah, I mean, if there's anything in particular, the first thing that comes to mind you want to show, because I think everybody loves seeing stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. There's nothing really behind me unless somebody wants to see a magazine. Like my room it's literally like a small bedroom that we turned into this room. So I have cards on every single wall except for the wall you see behind me. So let me.
What's the one that says Sports Life? Is that Maze on that one? On the on my
the yellow one.
Yeah,
that's Jackie Robinson.
Oh, it's Jackie Robinson. Okay, that's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
What year is that? Yeah,
that is 1950, June 1950.
1950. Okay.
Yeah, and it's got Ralph Kiner down here in the. Is that Kiner? Yeah, Kiner down in the corner, and I've got a. Thank you, Orlando. I've got a sort of a connection to Kiner. I didn't know him personally, but he's the only person I ever met outside of a ball field. When I was a kid, I grew up outside of New York. I was a huge Mets fan, and I went to a Mets game with a friend of mine. His dad took me, and his sons, and we went. And after the game, we went out to a restaurant near Shea, and it was actually upstairs, and we were in an elevator. And my friend's dad, he kind of nudges me, and he's like, "That's Ralph Kiner." Like right now, Kiner was the announcer for the break, or not the Braves, for the Mets for years. Hold on, I'll show you what I got.
Yeah.
And I had this scorebook with me, and I think he signed it for me.
Oh, that's really cool.
There, so like I said, he's the only player I ever got or ever met outside of a stadium. So, and he was in the Hall of Fame, and I didn't know much about him, but from that point, I started looking into him more. I only knew him as the voice of the Braves, or I keep saying the Braves, of the Mets, and so that's kind of cool. I mean, obviously Jackie Robinson's cool, but you know the fact that Kiner's on there too is kind of neat too.
I like the look of it, the magazine. I've
Yeah,
mentioned this before, but I love stuff that has like vibrant colors to it. Just like a nice combination of different things. Because I mean, obviously, it just there's a lot of when you have something that's vibrant looking, I think it just kind of captures it captures someone's focus immediately. So it's a really cool looking. I see you have another sports life in your catcher setup.
there or that's
The
Sport Mag.
catcher's equipment. No, the one on with the catcher's equipment.
Oh, the one with Musial. Yeah, that one is the worst picture I've ever seen of a player on a magazine cover. Um,
I was
very
gonna
much
say the yeah.
of the 1958 Brooks Robinson. Like, why did they choose that photo? But Sam, I'm a Sam
He looks
Musial
sick.
guy, but he looks like his neck is broken or he's half asleep or whatever. So you know, it's still Musial. It's still a vintage cover. It made the wall, but it didn't make the racks that I made. So,
uh,
but yeah, that's what that one is, and but it's got the great green on it. Um, in
yeah,
fact,
it does.
in fact, speaking of Musial, hold on, give me half a second.
No problem. I'll show off the card in the meantime.
Add half a second.
Yeah.
I've got this Musial piece, and I showed this in a video a couple weeks ago. But this is an advertisement that was in a comic book, I believe in 1950 or 51, for Wheaties, but they made it into a comic, a Sam Musial comic,
That's pretty
and
cool.
it's super typical. I mean, it's like, you know, the Cardinals are losing. What are they going to do? Sam Musial comes up, and you know he eats his Wheaties and makes the
Yeah.
stretches a double into a triple. Then he scores and credits it all down here on TV to you know eating his Wheaties. And you know, I think of like a kid back in the early '50s reading this, being like, "Oh my gosh," you know. And
Mhm.
I don't know. I think it's really cool. So that's something I picked up this
What
year.
year is that from?
Um, Probably 50 or 51. It was you know during the time when they, um, you know, when they were doing the Wheaties cards.
Mhm.
So 50 or 51. I'm assuming. I don't have any of those Wheaties cards. I'd like to get some, but that's probably those Wheaties cards that the usual. It's probably something I'm going to look for to pick up at the National this year. I've got about 4 cards I'd like to try to get, and that would be something in there. So yeah, that's a cool piece.
Yeah, it's not something you see commonly. Um, there are a couple of vendors at the Philly show that are sells. I mean, that do sell stuff like that,
Hmm.
like piles. And I mean, this would be right up your alley because there was a guy there, a couple of vendors, but one in particular who had stuff like tickets,
Hmm.
schedules, scorecards, programs. What else do you have? I mean, just really odd. I wouldn't call it oddball. I hate calling it oddball memorabilia um, because it's unique. I think it's. I look at it as more unique memorabilia. That's a nicer way to put it.
Sure.
If you want to call it oddball, fine. But yeah, no, there was a guy there that had stuff like that. And at the national, from what I remember last year, when Dom was walking around looking for stuff, he went to a dealer that had like tables and displays full of stuff like that. So
Yeah.
definitely, you're gonna. I mean, since you're obviously going this year, it's yeah. Hopefully, I've never been to the Cleveland one, so I'm
Hmm.
anticipating it to be just as good as the Chicago, but we'll see.
I hope so. I mean, I have no doubt it will be. I'm looking forward to it. And um, so anyway, you were going to show a card. Let's see what you've got.
Oh no, I was just gonna show the. I've showed this before. The strip card of Mathewson.
So good. What year is that?
This one is, I think, what does it say? 1921 W516-2-1.
Okay.
And
Let's
you
see.
know, it's I really like this one because the red really goes well with this blue, almost like I don't know, like a grayish bluish tone to it.
Hmm.
Makes it really just like just really really cool looking. And one thing about these strip cards that I've learned about over time that I've seen these is that a lot of them they're tough to get. They're tough not to get an authentic grade on it because the way that they're cut.
Yeah.
I've seen some of them get like a lot of authentic grades, and it's just unfortunate. But this one I did buy graded, and I can't remember how much I paid for it at the time, but because I've been buying a lot of Mathewson stuff lately, I really should probably keep track of that. But it's a cool strip card. The only strip, I think it's the only strip card I have. But the only thing I don't like about it, and I understand why they, you know, is they write. I don't know if can't really see it, but when it gets in focus, it says X giant pitcher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just say that, like I know it's 1921 or 1920 whenever they printed these, but how about I don't know, legendary giant pitcher.
Yeah, or former player even. But well,
Yeah.
I had so years ago. One of the sort of things I went through was I went through type collecting, and very similar to what John at 3D80s Kid is doing, where he wants one playing days card of every player in the Hall of Fame from 1900 on,
Yeah.
and it took me years to do this, and I finally did it. But my Mathewson actually was one of the ones. There was two cards that I sort of fudged on. One was Mathewson, and it was a strip card from 1919, so it was right after his career. But it still listed him as Cincinnati Reds, which I
Oh,
hated
that's
because,
cool.
I mean, it was cool, but still, he's not known for being on the Reds. He pitched what, one game or three games or
Yeah.
something for him, and but yeah, that was the one Mathewson, and then the other one was my Cy Young, was from 1913, and right after he had retired too, and that one actually said, what was the name? They didn't have him. Oh, they just, I think it was the Tom Barker set, if you know what set that is. They
I
look like
don't.
they look like playing cards.
Let me look
I
it up.
forgot.
You said it's Tom Barker.
Tom Barker. There's two sets that look very similar. They look like playing cards, rounded corners, very thick, glossy stock,
Okay.
black and
I'm
white
gonna
photos.
bring it up here.
Yeah,
Let's see
it's
if
either Tom Barker or National Game. It was one of those two he was in.
yeah,
Um,
tell me if this is it.
that's the set. Yeah, that's the set.
And then you can, yeah, they have all the different players. Which player were you referring to?
Cy Young.
Cy Young. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take a look. I don't know what number he is, but
Well, they look alphabetical, so it'd be
yes.
down at the end.
I can type in his name. Okay, so he's literally one of the last cards. Oh no, that's not it.
That's not it.
That's
No,
definitely not. I don't know why that came up. Oh, I know why. Because I
that's
selected his name and that shifted in the database.
gotcha.
What? That's yeah.
Yeah, that was the Young that I had.
That's pretty cool. And so it's 2.5 by 3.5.
Yeah, it's
The
playing
back.
day. The back is like a playing. It's like a playing card. It was a card game, but they
Yeah.
actually black and white photos of players, on the front. I had Walter Johnson as well. I still have Ty Cobb. That's the Ty Cobb I'm always messing with Jake about because he wants it and he's not getting it.
Oh, the
Uh,
Mathewson's in here too.
yeah, great card, beautiful card.
Yeah, that's all right. Now that you showed it to me, I want it now.
This would be well. I'll tell you, as far as playing dates cards, those are not anywhere near as pricey as well, T206 or any of those T cards from that same era. I mean, they're
Yeah.
not they're not $20 by any means,
No, no, but I'm
but
gonna let me see if
yeah, look it up, see what you got. But that's a beautiful. I like the Mathewson because you can almost see him throwing that fadeaway. The way he's sort of leaning after he released the ball. It's just kind of a cool pose.
let me see if I can share this tab instead. So this is what they're going. Yeah, there's only two of them right now for sale, and they're both. I mean, they're
Yeah,
both high grades,
they're high
so
grades. Yeah,
I understand why they're selling for that. That's why
yeah.
they're selling for that. But let's see if we go to advanced, you can see what they've sold for,
I'll take
and
the
yeah,
time on
literally
there.
none have been sold.
Yeah, but look at some of the other cards in the set. Look at other players that are in that set that have sold, and you can see where those prices were. They're not crazy for pre-war cards, especially as Hall of Famers. Now,
Yeah.
of course, Mathewson's going to be high. The highest one by far is Joe Jackson's in that set.
Oh, he
Uh,
is. Oh, there he is. Yeah, I see him. Let me reshare the screen here. That's really cool. I mean, you know what? I feel like I probably have seen these, but I just, you know, um, these days I'm really kind of just focusing on Mathewson stuff and Willie
Yeah,
Mays and such, so I kind of overlook a lot of the other players. But yeah, and this is like Jackson Cleve.
yeah,
That's wild.
yeah. I like
And
them.
let me see. We'll go and search eBay and I'll share this one. Looks like there's one for sale right now for ten
Yeah,
thousand dollars. It actually has
but it's hey,
24 people watching it.
well, but if you think about it this way, what other playing days Joe Jackson card graded a PSA 8 is only going to sell for $10,000?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot. So I'll show you my the one I have real quick. Hold on.
Yeah. I'm gonna click share here. Yeah, that'd be cool. Cool piece to have. Uh, let's see what else I have here.
So now this is the national game set, which looks super similar on the front, but it's a different game. This is the Ty Cobb.
Oh wow. What? So is that that's not from the same set, or it is?
So it's a different set because it has a different back. So again, it was another card game, but the same photographs on the front.
Right.
Not all the same players are in both sets, and you can see clearly around it. You know, it says base hit, out, batter. I don't know how the game was played, um, but uh, but that's the 1913, so same year. And then there's another card game with black and white photos on it from
Hmm.
1914 called the Polo Grounds. And the reason it's called Polo Grounds is because the back of the playing days actually has a picture of the Polo Grounds from back then. But this one is my Honus Wagner,
Oh, very cool. What year is that one?
1914.
1914. Okay.
Yeah. And this was actually the last card I needed to finish my Hall of Fame type collector set. And I ended up selling almost all of them. I kept a few of the pre-war, but this one, the Cobb, um, and then I also kept my Ruth, my Gehrig, and a Tris Speaker. So those are the 5 pre-war cards I still own. That's all I own.
Which Tris speaker do you have?
I have the T206.
Yeah, I have one as well. Oh, lost you for a second.
I
There you
hear
go.
figured.
Yeah, the Tris speaker, that's a special one. That's the blue. Yeah,
Yeah, the blue.
that's a nice looking card.
Yeah.
Such a nice looking one.
It's an interesting card to me because if you look at all the cards in the set, it's the only one I can think of, at least that I've made note of, that for whatever reason it looks tilted. Like everything else, you have the card like this photograph is straight up and down, but
Yeah,
the true speaker looks like it's leaning, like they put it in diagonal. I don't know if you've ever noticed that.
I have to dig it now to see what it looks like. Let
Yeah,
me see. Yeah. Jason's here. What's up, Jason? Let's see if I can find it now in the stack of stuff that I have. This is pretty much my collection right here. Is in this one bin. I was considering looking to buy they make sleeves for that's like binder sleeves for graded cards. I might
uh-huh.
consider doing that, but for now, this is good enough storage.
Well,
So,
it works. So
but I'm probably going to be shrinking down my collection even more to save up for the national. Yeah, so yeah, the Tris speak. Let me see if it.
yeah, you see
Oh,
what I'm
you're talking about like how he's positioned
Yeah, like how they
in the
positioned
portrait.
the drawing of him. And maybe it was, I don't know what the full photograph looked like. Maybe he was just leaning way back and that's how they got him in frame. But it's a great card.
Yeah.
It's a great, and you're right, the blue is just fantastic.
Oh, the blue is just yeah. How they decide on color on the color schemes, I don't know. I've never.
Uh,
That's something I've always been curious about. How they decide. So like Eddie Collins gets that deep red and
mhm,
never
yeah.
yeah. Um. So I mean, when it comes to the national, I mean, what are you looking? What's going to be your goal?
The cards I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So I mentioned the Wheaties
I'm gonna look it
musical.
up.
that's not they're not high dollar cards by any means, especially for a sort of earlier mutual.
What
But
year
there's
would that be?
I think it's 50 or 51. If you just type in Wheaties Mutual, they're sort of squarish with an orange, black and white drawn kind of picture.
I'm gonna pull it up so that we can kind of go along with. I got, let's see, Wheaties Musial. I got 1952 Rawlings Stamp Musial photo premium photo, but not.
Oh, those are nice.
Yeah,
Um,
let me see. I got a 1952 tin tray premiums. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
it's probably well, the tin tray I think was a send off, um, but all of these were centered around. And I think the Wheaties cards. Hold on. I'll tell you in a second.
Oh, okay. I think I see 1952 Stan Musial action. There's two different ones. There's a portrait and there's an action.
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Which one were you thinking of, the portrait or the action?
Just one. I don't care.
Yeah,
I mean, ultimately, long term, it'd be cool to have them both. I have a bunch of different, musical plain day musical
yeah.
cards, and because he wasn't in tops until the end of his career, a lot of them are just odd. But yeah, that's it.
That's a
Um,
yeah.
but they're kind of cool, and
You're really cool looking.
you can get them lower grade for not too crazy, for that. So
Three.
52, I was off.
That's not. I mean, I don't know. I don't know much about the Wheaties cards, but I can't like for three. I mean, 385. I guess what is that? Is that probably a high price for that for a near mint, or is
I, I'm I don't know because if it said near mint, that's not in the ballpark. I'm usually going to shop anyway. So
yeah,
to be and I don't again I don't pay attention to current prices because I'm not actively looking or buying or selling. And
gotcha.
to me, it's there's no point in me looking up my whatever card this Ty Cobb and being like, what's it selling for now? Because I'm not going to sell it and I'm not looking to buy it. I just know I own it and I'm okay with
Yeah,
that. So I really don't know what good prices are. Um, but I'm sure somebody out there does that's watching now. I don't know how many people you have, um, but I think they're cool. It's definitely part of his sort of legacy and the cards he has because he's in the Bowman, early Bowman, and then they dropped him, and then he wasn't in tops until '58 with the All Star, and
mhm,
he was in the Leaf, which is my one of my top three cards that I own, like by far. And maybe in the top two. I don't know. I have never really thought about which one I love the most, but yeah, Ted Williams is in that set, and Yogi Berra. There's a few different guys, and they're all kind of that orange with the. I don't know. I like them. I think they're cool. They're definitely
yeah,
different, and they're not super expensive compared to other cards from like a 52 Bowman, uh, that kind of a thing.
right. It's a cool alternative option.
Yeah.
Um, I probably, I guess something like that kind of tends to get overlooked because it's just not nearly as popular as collecting the Bowman or. And that's something actually we talked to Orlando and Mangini about
Hmm.
on the Four Collectors. We did a video talking about rare vintage and how a lot of the rare stuff tends to get overlooked if it's available because you know the more popular cards that people want are like the tops
Yeah.
52 maze or bone, like you were just talking about. So it's kind of nice in that sense because the competition is less. You're not having to, you know, jump,
Yeah.
jump on the first possible option there is because especially at the national because there will be more options more so than any
Hmm.
regional show.
I think when it comes to card shows, most people and a high percentage of people when they're walking around they've got something in their brain. They're
Yeah,
looking for something specific and it could be a player, a year, a type, a grade, or whatever, but you tend to get so laser focused you don't see what's actually there if the card you're looking for isn't. And if there's not, you're right, if there's not a lot of people looking for 52 Wheaties Stan Musial, they're just gonna they don't even realize they saw it.
you're right.
I mean, I do that. You do a great job in recapping the shows you go to, and you you do a phenomenal job actually
Thank
heading
you.
over and looking at the cars. I love that. I love looking at those, and it's funny because I probably use your videos to see what prices are more than anything else because I don't. Again, I'm not shopping, so I'll see a card go by and I'm like, oh, I wonder what that's selling for. I pause it and I'm like, what does that say? You know, if I can read the price tag or whatever. And but yeah, if you're not looking for it, you just sort of pass over it. And
Yeah.
the majority are looking for Topps or Bowman from the '50s by far. So, uh,
Right.
and I've gotten some good cards that aren't those. I'm a Pee Wee Reese collector, and some of the Pee Wee Reeses I've got for really not much money at all. Now he's not, you know, Jackie Robinson or Hank Aaron as far as dollar value, but still, he was a Brooklyn Dodger. He was the team leader, and he was there through all those years, you know. And
Yeah.
um, so uh, I don't know, but I've been able to pick up some sort of, I don't know about oddball. He's another one I want. There's the 1950s Drakes. I don't have that Pee Wee Reese, and I think there's only two or three playing day issued Reese cards that I don't have that aren't like picture packs. So,
Mm.
um, but if I don't find them, I don't know. They've been around for 70 years. They'll be around for another year. You know, I'm not in any rush. You know, I don't have an unlimited budget, so you know, I'm really looking forward to meeting people and talking to people and just experiencing that side of the show more than whatever. Yeah, Red Man. That's another one.
Um, Speaking of the Redmans, you know B. Roth, Brian?
Yeah, I don't.
He,
I know who he is, but yeah.
yeah, he just picked up a bunch of Redman, and included in that are a bunch of Pee Wee Reese's. Um, so I would say, you know, if I always suggest this at the National, because I saw it so much, but you know, dealer prices tend to be a little bit um, heightened, I guess is the best way
Yeah.
to put it.
hmm
And I always feel like some of the best deals you'll make are going to be with other content creators that are there.
hmm
And so I always recommend, I because I saw it happen so many times. I always recommend reaching out to some of the content creators first before going into and paying extra from a dealer. If and you know if the obviously if your preferences are met from a deal that could potentially be made with the content creator, it might just be more worthwhile, and you can get the card you really want for you know for maybe market value or whatever, something that's a little bit more reasonable than.
No, I agree. One of the things, you know, we talked about that Hickory show. The last time I was up there, Jake was up there, and it was when he was first getting into building out what he was going to sell, his inventory. But he, you know, and he's not the only one, but you know, he asked us, "Hey, what are you looking for? If you see something, let me know." And because he was actively buying, when you start getting a group together, you get stuff for less. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because the dealer will be like, "Yeah, I'll give you. You're buying these five cars. I'll give you a great deal on the five."
sure.
And then we divided that discount between all of us, or whatever. And that's another strategy being part of this YouTube community, you know, there's a lot of advantages I see to the national of people looking out. In fact, last year when I wasn't there, there was people texting me pictures and saying, "Hey, Drew, do you have this one? Are you looking for that one?" And just because they had never seen it before and they
Yeah,
thought, which is really special. So um,
it becomes incredibly helpful when you just keep talking about this, like, this is, I'm trying to find this, and then everyone's like, really, okay, that's what Drew's looking for, that, so we gotta, if I see it, we're gonna let him know. And that's actually, sorry, one second, I gotta grab my charger, but
you're good.
that's sort of what happened. Like this past year at the National, I was looking for a lot of the NBA Topps 1969 ruler
Yeah,
inserts that were put in the packs. And so I had a lot of people that were kind of looking on my behalf and telling me that, oh, the Lou Alcindor's here and there. And unfortunately, they were asking a lot more than I wanted to pay. But I did eventually find one,
hmm
the great looking Alcindor ruler. I did eventually find one off of a Facebook group for 400, and it's a nice looking too. I don't think these rulers get a lot of love in the hobby, unfortunately.
I'd
Uh,
never heard of them until you started talking about them.
yeah, and apparently they came out with. I want to see if I could find this article while we're talking about this, but they came out with a prototype for Bill Russell for 1969 because that's when they were released, and um, they were gonna they were going to make it, but then Bill Russell retired, and so they squashed it. But there's a photo of the prototype somewhere. I'm gonna see if I can find it while we're talking here, and it's very cool. I don't. Yeah, here. Okay, here's what it would look like, and I'll share the screen in a second. Give me 1 second here. Right, share the screen. Okay, actually, I want to share this one instead. So this is an article on Sports Collectors Daily. You can see some of the photographs. Like Walt Frazier, Dave Bing. Actually, Dave Bing was the mayor of Detroit. But yeah, this was kind of cool. So, the original caricatures used to create the top 1969 basketball rulers were sold at auction more than 30 years ago. And like this is the designs that they had in mind. So this book is someone in someone's collection, and obviously some of the big names. But this was supposed to be Bill Russell's.
Oh man, that's good.
I mean, imagine if that one would have been the most valuable of the.
Oh yeah.
I think it would have because it would have been the most valuable now because it was his last year in playing. But also, yeah, it's kind of cool. You see, I guess Rudy Caruso listed as Caruso and the okay Rudy Larusso, yeah. But yeah, it would have been up there with the Lou Alcindor or Kareem. So anyway, just wanted to share that. Someone showed me that article. I thought it was pretty cool.
No, I'd never. Like I said, I'd never even seen those. Now, I've never bought basketball cards or looked into them much, um, but those are super cool. And I mean, it's fun watching you put it together. How many are you short? You don't have the complete set yet, correct?
Yeah, Orlando is asking how many more. I'm not building the set. I am building the Hall of Famers mostly. There are
Okay,
some non Hall of Famers here, but that was from a collection I purchased.
sure.
So I'll show those off here if I can. So we got so the big men, Wes Unseld, Wilt I got Wilt, and you got Elvin Hayes, the big men.
Hmm.
Let's see. You got some. Yeah, here's some more John Havlicek, Jerry Lucas, and the Big O, Oscar Robertson. Sorry, the glare. It's kind of hard to show these, to be honest with you, because they're so massive. This one I picked up at the National this year, the Willis Reed ruler.
Hmm.
Obviously, for those that don't know about Willis Reed, he had that great moment in Game 7 at Madison Square Garden where he came out and was able to control Chamberlain for period of time and win the championship that year. Uh, Gail Goodrich, another Hall of Famer, Jeff Mullins. So these are Mullins, not a Hall of Famer. Gus Johnson, I can't remember if he is or isn't. I don't think he is. And then the most recent, I think this is the most recent pickup, is Walt Frazier.
That's
So I still have to get like Jerry West. I think Jerry West is missing. I'm trying to think who else. I have to look at the list again. But since I got the Lou Alcindor and the Frazier, I haven't really been looking too hard.
yeah. So how much do those run? Not the big boys, but like Unseld or sort of one of the lower name Hall of Famers, which I'm
Mhm.
using that phrase as a Hall of Famer. But
Those like an unsold will probably run anywhere between I don't know, maybe I'm trying to think how much I paid for it. Probably close to anywhere between $50 to $100.
okay.
I think the unsold goes for the ruler goes for a lot more than his card does actually. So it's yeah. A lot of the rulers tend to go for a lot more than the card. So I think even Havlicek costs to be at least like 100 to $150.
So there was one in every pack.
Yeah, so you would find in every pack, I can't remember if it's a poster or the ruler, but you would get at least one insert, I think, per pack. Yeah, Orlando's right. You can't really find them.
I've never seen them.
Yeah, only a handful of the dealers. Like the Philly show, there were a number of dealers that had them, but um, yeah, they're not as easy to find compared to the cards themselves. Um,
Do you
I
think
think,
that was just uh, because they didn't? I mean, they're obviously folded, so are they more condition sensitive? I'm not a basketball vintage
yeah,
collector, but in baseball, in the same era, you've got like Topps Deckle Edge or the
sure.
cards, or even the posters in the early '70s, and you see those, and while they have some value, they're not even close to the regular issue of the player. So I'm wondering, were they just not accepted by kids and they were thrown out? Were they trashed and then thrown away versus the cards themselves? Like, I
Go
just
with what Mike
wonder
is saying on
why.
that.
Okay, well,
That's one way to look at it.
yeah,
I don't know. I think this is a question I think Orlando is better to answer, or some of the more experienced guys could answer this. I can give you my
I'll I'll
theory
take
on this.
I'll take it as
Um,
because I don't know. So,
yeah, I mean, I just think basketball cards were just seen. They weren't as pop. They weren't popular.
mhm,
I think there's a reason why. Between 1957 and 1969, there was really no official
yeah,
basketball card that was produced on a mass scale. Um, it wasn't. I think the 1969 tops probably sparked a huge push towards towards like basketball cards, because ever from '69 forward, I mean, things kind of took off. That like the tall boy basketball cards, they
mhm,
followed up in 1970, and then 71 to 79. Just every single year, Tops had an official run, and it's kind of funny because in the '70s, basketball really wasn't as popular. One could argue that the '60s were far more popular, and then when the '70s came, it really lost a lot of its flair. And it wasn't until like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, when they got drafted, things kind of just really took off, and
sure,
CBS took an opportunity to create a nationally recognized league, and um, they would do like double headers where Celtics played the afternoon against the Trailblazers, and then the later, and then right after that, the Lakers were playing the Pistons or something like that. So Orlando's saying here that much less basketball was produced than any major sport. So
yeah.
that's a good answer.
I have a slight theory in this, as far as the '70s, the fact that they were in every year. Tops, Tops when they came on the scene in the '50s. They had to fight, and it's well documented and talked about how they had to overcome so much to become popular with kids, to blowing up to the side of the card, and what they did to the backs, and on, and player contracts, and ended up buying out Bowman, and I'm not going to go through all that. But if you look at Tops as a design, by the early '60s, a lot of people think, I'm not saying there's not beautiful cards, but it's like they stopped sort of innovating as much, we'll say. There was sort of this year's version of whatever.
Hmm.
But when it got to the '70s, I think Tops was like, look, there's a lot more than baseball fans out there. And they had free reign because now they had been around for 20 years. They were really the only major card company out there, and they could just make anything they want. And if you look at the '70s of what the Topps line was, not just baseball or even sports, I mean, they had wacky packages, and they started doing all these, up into the late, you've got, I mean, movie cards and everything. They were just,
Right.
they produced everything in the '70s. And then I think what took the hit for them was when all of a sudden, they lost that lawsuit, and Fleer and Donruss come in, and they had to do something. And I wonder if when that happened, that's why they stopped producing basketball,
Yeah.
because like, shoot, we actually have competition for the first time in now 30 years. We've got to focus on the big boy, which was baseball at the time. and
Hmm.
they just stopped basketball. Um, I may be wrong, but even if you go into the late '80s, Fleer '86 Fleer is that's the set, not Tops. Tops didn't. When did they start coming back out with more basketball? I
Yeah,
don't think I
they
followed.
probably not until the 90s.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is they basically missed uh, well 2 decades. I mean, I know they had a few in the '50s and a few in the '60s, and then they had tons in the '70s because why not? They could print anything. It was like printing money.
Yeah.
When they had to collect their focus again, they chose baseball over anything else. So this
Mm.
is all speculation on my part, but if I step back and you look at the whole picture, that's just kind of how I look at it. I may be wrong. Um,
It's a good perspective. It's a good theory on why. And it kind of goes to show, Topps controlling the market completely. Um, during that time frame, they figured, well, we have the market. Why not take advantage? Because basketball, we'll do basketball, we'll do football, we'll do baseball, and I think hockey as well. So
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why not. I mean, it's an opportunity to make money. And as you mentioned, there was where they were seeing that there were basketball fans. They're recognizing there are fans. So yeah, opportunity rings. Um,
yeah, definitely.
yeah, some of the and then just demonstration of. Uh, I'll show. Yeah, one of the tall boy cards. Unfortunately, I don't have a big enough um, cover for this, but yep, you got the Wilt Chamberlain card,
Nice.
number one for the 1969. This is the one set I'm still working on. I have two cards left I need to fill, but I'm taking my time on that one. I mean, if I
For
what's that?
for the complete set or just the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I just need to get two cards to finish it. The nice thing about basketball cards is that there's only like maybe 150 or 200
Yeah,
cards you need to fill a set, so it's not like a baseball where you have to get 500 or 600 cards or even more. Like the 1972, that dreaded set is like 700 plus.
yeah.
Forget it.
Well, but again, that goes back to the same theory. Tops had free reign, so
Yeah.
700 cards. Kids want a complete set. They buy more packs when they need 700 versus 150. So, um,
And the craziest thing was, and honestly, it was probably better then. I mean, value, like, I guess people didn't put value on the card. So if you needed a Nolan Ryan 72 for your set, and someone else needed I don't know, Jim Hunter for their set, that trade was an even exchange.
oh yeah, yeah. I remember those days. Not 72, but I remember you're just completing this and you might be looking for well, I mean, like Pepino Man always talks about his Steve Jeltz. That's the card he needed, and you'll do anything. And there was no eBay, there was nothing. You had a local card store and your buddies and their shoebox, and that was it. You couldn't try to figure out. It was hard. It was hard to complete sets in your
Yeah,
neighborhood. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, but I never did. The first complete set I had, I actually bought, which was in 1986. I just said, forget it. I'm just going to buy the whole set. And I remember it was $19, and I still have it. So,
Hmm.
but it's just a lot easier. Anyway, um, well, I love the basketball cards. I'm not again a basketball historian by any means, but I've got one of my best friends in the world is a huge basketball fan, and when eBay first started coming out, or when I was really started getting into it, early 2000s, uh, that's when he and I met and hooked up. And so I was actively building my vintage baseball. It was the first time I was really into vintage baseball, but he was into vintage basketball. So we were teaching each other about our respective sports and stuff. We knew the big names, but he was telling me about guys I'd never heard of. And then it was weird for him to go, oh yeah, they had up to what was it 57, and then there was nothing until what 63? Is that the right year? I don't remember the year
Well, I
for
mean,
basketball,
yeah,
but
16. I think 57 was tops, and then 60, and then tops came back again in 69.
oh okay, yeah,
I don't. There probably were some unofficial stuff between then. I just don't know much
no, it
about
was the
it.
tops, but he so what he did. which was one of the most impressive collections I actually watched get built, was in 2000, I think it was. The NBA put out like the top 50 greatest players of all time,
Yeah.
list, and his goal was to get the rookie card of all 50 players. And I remember it was one of the first woodworking projects ever made. Was I made a special case for his set, and in fact, he for a time he actually moved to Taiwan, and he's like, "Well, I can't bring it." So it was actually hanging in this room for a while. Even though I remember looking at it, not my cards, but he didn't complete it. He had all but two. I think, yeah, he didn't have the Jordan, and he didn't have the George Mikan, but he had all
Yeah.
the other, and it was really kind of cool. So, but anyway,
So
uh,
he was his goal was to collect rookie cards of the top 50 players.
yeah, from the list that they put out in 2000. So
It's an
the rookie cards of
expensive.
all, yeah.
Because I'm
So
trying to think that would be so top 50. Yeah, I mean, like there are some names that are not too expensive, like Robert Parrish, his rookie. I don't think is too expensive. It's amazing that Moses Malone, his rookie card doesn't go for a lot of money, and Moses
yeah,
Malone is arguably, I mean, the guy is two or three MVPs. I think he's won, or just doesn't. Many of the pictures were taken. Okay, so we're good. Yeah, Rick is talking about the 69.
yeah,
I think here's many of them were taken during practice. Because I guess Rick mentioned before. Topps went to the NBA, proposed the unique 69 set tall cards. Owners didn't want the team logos on their uniforms to show. I always thought it was a licensing issue, but I mean, I guess it sort of is, but um, it's interesting. I didn't know it was the owners who decided that. I wasn't sure if it was on the NBA or,
no, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that.
yeah. So there's a lot of them. Let me see if there's one that shows that really demonstrates that here. Yep, Alcindor. I mean, his rookie card kind of shows it really well. He's wearing his warm-up uniform there. Great card.
Yeah,
He used to. I'm sure you know the history of Rucker Park in New York City.
no,
Rucker Park is where a lot of street ball was played. So a lot of big names like Julius Irving played there, and Kareem played there, and it has a long history of a lot of NBA players kind of just playing out on the streets and honing their craft. And to this day, they still host yearly, like every year, they host these tournaments of street ballers, and a lot of the big names show up, and it's a really cool history to it. I drive past it all the time. Sometimes I drive it past whenever I come home from work and I see it. I'm always looking over, and it's not too far from where the Polo Grounds used to be. Nice
okay.
little area like West Harlem.
Hmm.
So anyway, I think I might cut it for the evening,
No,
just
you're
as
good.
I got some other things I got to take care of before calling it for the night. But Drew, thank you so much for joining, and thank you everybody who's watching and contributed in the chat. It's always good to kind of hear from a variety of different people.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Sammy. It was a lot of fun, and good to talk to you.
You
So
too. And for the 17 that are watching, if you've never heard of Drew, and you should know Drew, subscribe to his channel. Watch the card room tour because that's, like I mentioned, it's a good break off point
yeah,
to.
that video I put that out in early September, and still every day I think it's up to almost 13,000 views. And you understand, I'm from a tiny town. I don't have 13,000 people in my town. I'm like, who are these people, watching this thing? So it's kind of funny.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we gotta kind of help each other out and kind of grow, you know, expand and keep things moving. So, uh, Drew, I'm sure we'll talk again, and
Absolutely.
uh, long, good. It was a good period of time before the national. Obviously, it's gonna be you, yeah, you, Jake. You're still on the fence, or you are coming?
No, I'm pretty much coming now.
All right, cool.
The major hurdles got leapt over, so we're good now as far as unless something happens. So
Cool. It's gonna be you, Jake, and I. And did you? Oh yes, thank you, Orlando. Everyone hit the like button. Uh, so yeah, I have it from Wednesday to Saturday.
mhm.
Are you driving with Jake?
Yeah, yeah. I'll drive up to his house. He actually lives 15 minutes from where my dad lives, so I'll probably go up to see my dad, and we're gonna leave super early on that Tuesday morning, I believe, and drive up. And
So
he's got
he's
plan.
taking his car with him.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Because of me,
helpful.
we'll split the car. Yeah. So
Did you get a? Are you getting a VIP or general? Just general admission?
I don't know yet because I don't know. I maybe we can talk offline about opinions
Yeah.
and stuff, but I don't know. I haven't made that decision up yet.
Cool, man. All right, we'll talk offline about that. Have a good night, everybody. Take care, and I'll recap with y'all. I don't know, Sunday, Monday, perhaps on the big Garfield, New Jersey show that I'll be going to. So, take care.
Have a good show.
Thanks.